This is the March 18th, 2025 meeting of the Fire Station Building Committee at 5 o'clock on the city's Zoom platform. Your statement is this meeting is being recorded, taped or otherwise broadcast. If any other persons present are doing the same, you must notify the chair at this time. Is anybody else doing it?
No.
Okay. Attendance. All the attendants. Butch Hawkins is present. David Singer.
Present.
Chief Strahan.
I am here.
Very good. Mayor.
I'm here.
Carol Collins.
I am here.
Okay. Amy McMahon. Steve Draculich said he was going to be out of town. Jen Stromsten.
Here.
Jane Wall.
She's away.
Yep. Jim Wynn.
Here.
David Mascarello. Marlo, non-voting members, Marlo Warner. Fernando Fury. Peter McIver.
Present.
Greg Diefendorf. Okay. Professionals present. Neil Joyce.
Here.
Katrina said she had a conflict. So Dennis Ross.
Here.
And that's all from your office, huh, Dennis?
Correct, just me, yep.
Very good. Okay. Here, okay. I just threw in there chair's comments. If you want to, we're kind of winding things up. I didn't know if you wanted to say anything, David. I'm just going to say how appreciative I've been over the 5 years for everybody to hang together and try to get to the finish line on this thing. And I just really appreciate support that everyone is giving, both David and I, along the way, both the professionals and city folks and the members. And it's a good project, looks good, cleaned up Main Street. It's a nice home for a lot of years to come. So I thank everybody. David?
Thank you. I didn't even see that. I didn't even know what that meant. Thank you. It's been a pleasure working with you. I think we've been a great team. And it's been a pleasure working with this entire board and, of course, with Neil and Dennis and Katrina. And I just want to say that I think we did a great job and we should be proud of ourselves. And we did a good service for the city and we all did it together. So we really should be proud of ourselves for the way that we handled this, managed it, where we ended up with it. So I feel good about it. So congratulations to all of us. We all get the same pat on the back.
Right. Thank you, David.
You're welcome.
Okay, it appears that we have to approve 2 minutes, one for May 9th. And I just want to make a note of a change there in the chair's statement. It says the meeting is not being recorded and the meeting was being recorded. So like a motion to change that to the meeting is being recorded.
So moved. Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any abstentions?
Aye. Which, not to be a stickler for rules, but we got to do it by roll call, right? Because it's
Yeah.
virtual.
So let's do the roll call for, well, first of all, anybody have any other questions on the minutes for May 9th as presented?
Thank you, Peter.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Okay, roll call for the change in the chair statement. I vote yes. David?
Yes.
Chief? Chief? Carol,
Yes.
Jen,
Yes.
and Jim?
Yes.
Thank you. Now to the roll call to accept the minutes as changed and presented. All those in favor, I vote yes. David?
Yes.
Chief? Must be having trouble. Jenny?
Yes.
The mayor? Carol?
Yes.
And Jen?
Yes.
And Jim?
Yes.
Okay, that does it for May 9th. Next set of minutes we have is for June 20th. And I just want to make the same request for a change in the chair statement that the meeting is being recorded. Motion,
So moved.
is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion on it? All those in favor of the change? I vote yes. David?
Yes.
Chief? Mayor?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
And Jim?
Yes.
Okay. Now to the minutes. Everybody had a chance to read them. Anybody? Want to make a motion to accept?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any further discussion on those minutes? Okay, vote. I vote to approve. David?
Yes.
Chief? Where'd he go? Mayor?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
And
Carol.
Yes. David.
David?
No, I said hello to Carol.
Oh.
She was looking around.
Oh. Okay. That catches us up with the minutes. Okay, on to the next thing. Neil Joyce, project manager, can you update us on the budget, payment invoices, and the current status of the budget, if you would please? Can I?
Butch, can you share? Allow me to share?
Yeah, I'm just trying to find it. Where is it? Share.
Who's this little dots?
Here, right there. With the same problem David Singer had. Apparently mine didn't up.
So,
Butch, I think if you go in the top right corner,
okay.
there
Yeah,
should be a list of participants. And if you go next to my name, there should be an ellipse. And if you click on the
Yeah,
ellipse,
right.
it should say make host.
yeah, that's why I was doing it before. Share sound, video. Let me share. Participant. Where is Neil? Yeah. Did that amount to anything, Neil?
No.
No.
You just get a request from me as host.
Allow? Did that work?
Yeah, I think so.
Ah.
Yeah, that should do it. Should be able to see the budget.
Oh, you.
Yeah.
Good
Oh, there we-
job. Good
Look at
job.
us go, Butch.
I
Huh?
know, we're zooming.
Only 1,400 meetings. I think we got it now.
Yeah, well, 6 months or so intervened, screwed us up here, I think.
There you go. Is that an appropriate scale for everyone to see?
Yeah, looks
No,
good.
thank you.
Okay, so I'll try to do this quickly. We've gone through, it's probably been 6 months or so since our last meeting. So we've processed some invoices for payment. I'm showing the balances due to each party under this column G underneath my cursor now.
Okay.
So remaining for OPM is roughly $5,000 for closeout phase services. Our architect is essentially on time and materials. The commissioning agent has about $4,500 left in services. Assuming approval of the current invoices that we have to present today, the contractor's retainage will be reduced to roughly $60,000. We have about $50,000 left in miscellaneous project expenses. I don't anticipate that these expenditures will be incurred. So I think those are essentially going to flow to project contingency. Under furnishings and equipment, we're showing a balance of about $180,000 of cost remaining. I am operating under the assumption that the invoices from the various furniture and technology vendors have been presented directly to the city. They have not gone through our office and have been paid. So I'm assuming that this 180,000 that's showing as a remaining expense is actually not a remaining expense. I think it's already been expended, but I have no reason to believe at this stage that we've gone over budget. So I'm gonna, for projections purposes, for the sake of the committee today, I'm gonna assume this $180,000 has been expended. In terms of our original budget of roughly 3.6 million for the temp station, we've essentially expended 3,605,000. So there's a small balance of $5,000 that was remaining in the budget. And in terms of owner's contingency, we still have a balance of $85,000 to the positive on owner's contingency. So deducting out this $180,000 from the roughly $400,000 that's remaining, we're right now sitting on roughly $210,000 of unspent project funds. I'd be happy to take any questions the committee may have on the budget.
Just, Neil, what do you anticipate we're gonna need to spend out of that going forward?
Butch, I think that there are still a couple of loose ends that we need to tie up, but I don't anticipate it will be significant. I'd like to request, once the city's finance office has the opportunity, to send me another accounting of all project expenses, and we'll reconcile our numbers to the city's at the earliest possible date.
Okay. Anyone else with any questions? I can't
I think
see.
David has his hand up.
Okay, David.
Yeah, I can't see myself, but I see you, Neil. What is the procedure if there's a balance left over?
So when the city elects to do so, the project would be financially closed. Any remaining funds from the project would be essentially rescinded by city, and it would go back, I believe, to another capital project of the city's choosing. And that's a internal process that occurs outside of the project.
Okay.
So in terms of what we do, we close out our books and then it's up to the city council and the mayor to deal with the overage.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else?
I have a question.
Go ahead, Mayor.
This actually, I spoke with Stephen today. He couldn't be on this meeting. But the commissioning part. I'm just gonna look at this.
Yep.
The projected energy uses, it looked like there was 4,500 or something left from the commissioning agent or the person that's checking that.
Yes.
The building's still being commissioned. This is not something I know of. Carol knows probably more about that, or somebody else that's on this call. But he said we'd be looking to find out the cause of the energy usage. So I just wanted to mention that. And Carol, if you want to
I
speak
believe,
on
Mayor, that request has been issued
that. Okay,
to CES, who did the original energy consumption estimate that was done during design. And I do not believe that we have a response from them as of yet. So I will follow up on that.
that's their name. Their name is CES.
CES is the mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and fire protection engineer, and they did the initial energy consumption estimate to derive the EUI that was the basis of comparison. So I would like to get feedback from them.
Can I just add some things there, please?
Sure, go ahead, Carol.
So I would just want to make the committee aware that we have a lot of buildings in the city of all different types that we track. The fire station, any new construction like the library comes with expected energy consumption, an annual energy consumption. And I'll share the good news that we did receive a $78,632 incentive from the utility because of how energy efficient the fire station was designed, and that we met our target goal of an EUI, which is the energy use intensity of 35. Now, the building's been occupied for 9 months or so, and we're seeing that the energy consumption is actually over 250% higher than what was expected. And again, in looking at it, it is a unique use, but we have a high school that's 10 times the size that uses less electricity, which is operated by several. So there's just, I feel like there's some issues going on here. I was in touch with several people on the team. I wasn't sure that CES was looking into it, but the commissioning, they're doing the commissioning, or they did that? Because I thought we had the energy model from Thornton Tomasetti.
Carol, it was my impression that the original energy model was done by CES. That may be incorrect. It was a long time ago.
Yeah.
And many months ago. So let me look into it. Again, I thought CES did an EUI estimate, and that was verified by Thornton Tomasetti. I don't know, but they may have done an independent assessment as well and affirmed it. So we may have two.
All right, because I know that Katrina worked with Thornton Tomasetti, and they went over the design, and the MEP was involved. I was involved with that process also, and that's what got us this incentive. And they were very detail oriented to make sure everything would work. So I guess the reason I'm bringing this up is just here we are kind of at the tail end of the project. However, we have a building that's not really working the way that it was designed, and it's now going to cost us, we're already paying a substantial amount more to operate a building that the whole reason you want to design energy efficient is so that the long-term costs are much lower. And so I just want to bring it up because we need some kind of guarantee or assurance that this is going to be taken care of and looked at in a, kind of complete manner. And Eversource did offer to have a verification M&V, I think, that they can cost share 50% with. So I just wanted to bring that up and kind of take the next steps. And again, let everyone know we've already, that we did really well, and $78,000+ is pretty darn good for an incentive. even better if we're not paying more than that in electricity.
Okay. Any other questions for Neil regarding the update on the budget?
How many square feet was it? Anyways, I know I should know this. How many square feet was the whole building?
From memory, it was just over 19,600. Round numbers,
Thanks.
just shy of 20,000, Mayor.
David?
Yes, sir.
Oh, I didn't know.
No signals from me.
Okay. All right. Anybody else for Neil? Okay.
I just put in a chat like a CES systems presentation from the Wayback Time Machine, but I don't recall who else might have been involved along the way. So
Okay.
in April 2021.
Okay, Neil, exactly what is it that we're approving here for an updated budget?
First invoice is, I'm sorry, Butch, regarding the budget or regarding the invoices for payment?
What
What was the
well, the
request?
budget up. Yeah, the budget update.
I have a
So
question.
I think there was usually a motion to accept the budget as presented.
Neil, before I do that, I'll do that motion, are the expenditures reflected in what you showed us, or is this before we
Yes.
make the vote?
No, they are reflected in what has been shown.
All
Okay.
right, so I make a motion to approve the budget, which includes the requisitions that are being called for at this meeting.
Second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Any discussion?
I'm sorry,
Hey,
so we're
Neil?
approving,
Yeah, Neil's gonna give us the dollar amounts that we're approving here.
So the first invoice is from Colliers, commissioning agent, for $2,160. DA Sullivan, application number 22, which is a large reduction in the project retainage of $498,502.93. And the third invoice from H2M Architects for $774.96. Total draw is $501,437.89. And just to reiterate, those numbers are reflected in the budget update that we've already presented.
Any questions on any of those?
How much is left in I don't have the thing in front of me. You noted it. There's not much left in the contingency, right? In the holdback, right?
The construction retainage is roughly $60,000 to $64,000.
And are we're in a position where that's sufficient for any of the things that remain?
We went through an exhaustive effort with the architect, with Katrina, as well as DA Sullivan and the department, to make sure that we were aware of all of the outstanding issues and or concerns related to the station. And then subsequently, the DA Sullivan invoice was signed and presented for payment.
So you're all
So-
satisfied.
Short answer is yes, David. I believe everyone is satisfied.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Neil? Payment summary? Hearing none, all those in favor is payment summary of $501,437.89. I vote to approve, yes. David Singer?
Yes, but I must note that the budget hasn't been approved yet, so maybe we'll go back to that. I don't think there was a second
Yeah.
for that. All right. Yes,
Okay.
yes, but just my parentheses.
Right. Okay, so let's,
We
We're
can
on
go
this.
forward with this vote. That's fine, because then
yeah,
the budget. will
let's
be
go
removed.
forward with this and we'll go back. Okay, Chief?
Yes.
Thank you. Mayor?
Yes.
Carol? Collins?
I'm
Carol?
gonna abstain.
Okay. Jen?
Yes.
Okay, and Jim?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, back to the budget. The updated budget as presented is
The
what dollar
motion
amount?
is to approve the budget, which represents the requisition items that were voted on just in the previous vote.
Right.
I don't hear a second.
Second. Somebody? I'll
Second.
Thanks.
Okay, chief. Okay. Discussion, David? Yes.
No, I just think this is this will bring us to the present state of the budget, which includes the payments that we made tonight. So we have a threshold. We have a point to start for the remaining expenditures. So I think we should vote yes,
Okay.
unless there's a protest about it. But I otherwise vote yes, please.
Okay. Anybody else? Anything? No? Okay,
Yeah.
all those in,
I would appreciate just, Carol clarifying what I hear the reservations about the energy costs, but I just want to hear like what the basis for abstention or any concerns are right now.
Thank you, Jen.
Mhm.
I would just say that when we sign off on a project, that essentially means the project team is done. I would say that we have an outstanding issue that this is a excessive, significant, unexpected amount. And I do have the actual energy model, and anyone who wants to read through it, I'm trying to figure out how to attach it. I don't have Jen's savviness, but I can definitely send it via email if anyone wants to look through it. I mean, it's incredibly detailed. And so, we've had this happen in the past where the building's like, okay, everything's done. And then there are issues, and then we're left to kind of deal with them. I didn't want to have to, I'm just trying to look out to make sure that we are not left with something that's kind of beyond us, that's going to cause a lot of issues, which it kind of seems like in my experience, without knowing what the cause is and being able to kind of pinpoint, which I believe is through this whole process of commissioning and signing over the building to make sure all the equipment is operating as designed and as installed. And, things happen. There's always like little tweaks, as we know with the library. And so that's my only reservation, is just
So
making sure we have a commitment that this is going to be addressed and resolved.
I'm going to move to reconsider the vote on that. I voted in the affirmative, and I value Carol's opinion on that. I had concerns about it, so I'm going to move to reconsider that vote, if there's a second.
can we not make a motion to do something yet for a second?
Yeah,
Okay, certainly, Jen.
right.
That's
So-
not, I'm just looking to get this issue
I hear-
heard and discussed.
I hear you. And so what I want to understand is, by voting to approve the expenditures and then by voting to approve the budget, is that the same thing as taking that step to close out the books?
Not my understanding. No, we still have work to do, and commissioning is not done. And the building, this does not turn the building over to the city. That's my understanding, correct, Neil?
Well, yes and no, Butch. The city is currently in the building, insures the building, is using the building. So you own the building. At this point in time, legally, you are the occupant and you are insuring it. So the building is yours. We will absolutely review and look into the discrepancy in the energy model and how the building is performing. I'm not sure how that relates to payment. Having gone through 80 or 90% of the commissioning process, there has been I don't believe that there has been anything earth-shattering in terms of something that isn't performing as it was intended to, or a piece of equipment that has not yet been installed or started up. So again, I'm not an energy expert. I'll openly admit that, but yeah, I'm not sure where we're going with this, frankly, but.
Go ahead, David.
Carol, if I understand you, and I want to make sure that I do, it sounds like you have recognized some sort of an energy problem in the building. And do you feel uncomfortable that by paying the amount that we've authorized tonight, that somehow people are being paid money that shouldn't be at this point in time because these problems exist and they should be explored further?
I might not say it exactly that way, but yes, that's kind of again, having gone through this with other buildings, that once things get closed out, that's kind of it.
Right.
And I know
so
that, we have, great team members who have been working on this and are very committed. I mean, again, with the library, we're still working on issues there. So it's, again, I just feel like getting a commitment and the follow through before we're left with, I mean, again, this is a sizable increase that impacts the budget. I budget for this amount, and this is would be by far the largest, well, close to the largest account in the city, and typically that's a wastewater treatment plant, and this is an order of magnitude. So I just want to feel that we're getting we're turning over every stone before everyone leaves town.
Okay. May I continue?
I don't think anyone needs to be convinced of that problem. I mean, I think that sounds like an expensive problem that has to be unraveled. I think what I don't want to make a performative vote of protest that has no nexus with giving us leverage to resolve that problem, and just simply causes different problems, right? So that's what I'm interested in understanding, if there's any direct relevance right now on the vote, the budget vote and the expenditure vote, to resolving the problem that you've raised, about which I am convinced. I don't need to be convinced that it's a problem. I just need to understand what this committee can do about it and whether that connects to the votes that are before us.
Mr. Chair, to continue what you're asking, Jen, what if there is a connection between the work that's been done and the deficiencies in our energy situation? What she's asking is, are we sort of, should we hold? My next question to Carol would be, how long would it take you to even understand what is going on there and what the cause is?
So that's not my job. That's the job of the project team and the commissioning agent. That's part of why I'm trying to make sure this is addressed by the people that are, skilled in this. And again, I don't really want to be the person on this, because I don't know, but I definitely feel like the committee should be aware, and I'm fine with just making sure there's a commitment. Which again, I don't know all the, I'm sorry that Stephen's not here, because I had really hoped that he'd be able to weigh in. And I feel like he has much more experience in this. I'm not trying to cause any problems. Again, I've just seen things I can cite, I just, things happen, and we just want to make sure we get it responded to.
Right. Maybe a couple of questions for Neil.
I didn't want to be like, okay, we're going to vote everything and everything's hunky-dory. And then I just felt like the committee should be aware.
Right.
Neil, I can't speak for Pacheco Ross or on behalf of DA Sullivan or the commissioning agent, but I can tell you that you'll have our support for whatever inquiry that you want, and however long it takes to do it, we will support you 100% of the way. I'm sure Dennis has an opinion or will share with us.
I'm the same with Neil. We're not walking away from anything until it's solved and we know what's going on.
And so these systems obviously come with warranties and guarantees, right? I mean, if it's a system that's malfunctioning and it's creating these overages, they must come with guarantees and warranties that they're
we have a 1-year warranty under statute for the operation of the equipment that would expire in May of 2025 when we took occupancy of the building. As part of a typical municipal closeout process, we will do an inspection at somewhere between 10 and 11 months, and we'll note anything on that inspection report that is not proven to operate correctly, and have the contractor repair it or fix it before the expiration of the warranty.
Okay.
Do you feel that we should maybe hold back some more retainage until we really get some answers? You know, relative to the system, the way it's functioning and why it's creating these, you know, very high bills.
So,
I mean, we're retaining what, 85,000, 60,000 in retainage, or 85,000, you said?
60,000 in retainage, yes.
60,000, right?
I guess for me, based on the representation that Carol's making, that our energy costs are so far different than any expectation that she might have or anybody else might have. I have no other ability to say anything except for somebody who's an expert to tell me whether this is of concern. Dennis, is this of concern? Neil, is this of concern? Should we, based on the fact, I mean, if we believe that that's true, you know, what are the steps we should take to deal with it? You know, I'm at a loss. Passing the budget to me is one thing, but this idea that there's something wrong, I don't understand. It's Carol is saying something, and then I don't know. I haven't heard a confirmation of any of it, so I need a handle on what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like we need someone to get in there and like give us an idea of whether this is, you know, is this user error? Does everyone have like the thermostat up too high on the electric and not using the radiant enough? I mean, like it's, you know, someone has to be able to get in there and explain that a huge differential between what the estimates were and what the performance is. And I don't know if a separate and related question, I don't know if our warranties are performance based. You know, if the equipment is functioning, you know, if that's related to it's, you know, are they accountable for the efficiency and the cost? I have no idea. You know, I haven't read the warranties. So, but I think it would be really useful to get someone really quickly in to help figure out like, why is there a discrepancy like this? You know, is it just was it a, you know, a fault of engineering? Is it user error? Is it something in between?
Yeah. I mean, I'd be willing to, within some other perspective, I'd be willing to wait to vote this requisition, but the period of time to get to the answer has to be very short.
So can I comment, Butch?
Go right ahead, Chief.
So Carol and I have been talking about this for a while, and we have been looking at the fire department to see if there's anything operational that we're doing that's out of whack. And the reality is it's not. The only thing that I can tell you is that it's been very cold the last three months or so. It's been very, very cold, colder than we've seen in a long time. And it's an all electric building. And the heat is on 24 hours a day. I'm not surprised we're taking more energy than the high school, because the high school is open 5 days a week. We're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365. We go around and make sure that the temperatures are turned down and that everything that is in place is working. We did have a stretch of time where the radiant heat was not turned on, And I think that that had a big impact on what Carol was seeing. I don't know what the issue is, but I can assure you that we're trying to do everything in our power to make sure the lights are off, that the heat is kept at a reasonable temperature, that there's not a big fluctuation of heat. But outside of that, I don't know why the energy use is so high. In regards to the budget and approving the budget, although I appreciate and understand the intent of not wanting to move forward, we've got subcontractors that have nothing to do with energy that are getting paid with these bills that haven't been paid because these bills are outstanding and they haven't been approved. And so I would hate to see some of the smaller vendors not get the money that's entitled to them because we're going to hold back because of the energy issue. I think they're two separate issues. And I think we need to use some caution when we talk about holding back the budget because of issues that have been identified. Thank you.
Yeah, a lot of these bills go back to last May, don't they, Neil?
Yes, we haven't paid the contractors since, I think June was the last requisition we got from them.
Right. Yes, Mayor.
I just want to say that we had a meeting last week with Carol and the finance director and myself, a lengthy meeting talking about, how you solve issues with outstanding building issues. And when I made a motion to reconsider, it was because I was listening to my teammate here abstaining from this. And I think we are. This is a significant invoice that we would be paying. I agree with the fire chief. I don't want any, vendors not to be paid. But I wish that Stephen could be here today. He was sick, so he can't be. But I'd rather err on the side of caution with this. I heard what Jen said as well. Maybe it should be a reduction in that. I just think that it's a fabulous building, but we also need to protect our interests, and the energy use is so out of line that it's a concern. And the building is 9 times smaller than the high school.
Carol, did you mention that Thornton Tomasetti may have the ability to do an energy audit and look at usage?
So Eversource can provide, so can I just go back for a second? And I, again, felt like I needed to bring this to the attention of the committee instead of just carrying on, because it is an issue. I'm not trying to, and honestly, with the pieces that are left owed, it doesn't seem like that's really an issue anyway. But it's not necessarily Thornton Tomasetti, but that they would cover half the cost to have someone come in and look at all of this equipment as part of getting the post-occupancy incentive. And that would allow them to look at these issues. I don't always speak all the details, but I'm just going to say I know that this winter was colder than normal. That's taken into account. Again, I did write to the project team on February 20th, highlighting this issue once I had a handle on what we were looking at. And again, seeing that it was a dramatic, significant, and sustained increase. Sometimes things just happen when everything gets turned on, and separating out occupancy when construction was going on. So all of those factors have been taken into account. Yes, Eversource will provide that for us. They had sent that information, which I have printed out here somewhere close by, on us being able to contract with them. I didn't know if it was something that conservation agent Colliers might be able to address also. But we need to make sure that anything that we can catch, we do catch to keep things in line with, again, I mean, I can forward the energy model. It's incredibly detailed. They verified that this is how the building should operate. So that's what's so kind of concerning. And again, I don't know if the whole committee wants to see all of this. It's a lot of numbers and boring stuff, but I'm happy to send it out. And Neil, I can resend the contract and the information from Eversource if you would like.
Carol,
Yes.
with all due respect, I hear what you're saying in the most positive light, but you are making an illusion, and the mayor seems to be going along with it, that somehow there's something wrong with the construction of the building, and therefore we should withhold money from the contractor because we're going to find in the future that they didn't do the job they were supposed to do. And I heard from the fire chief who says that there's no truth in that maybe there are energy problems, but it doesn't have to do with the construction by the general contractor or the architectural design for that matter. So if as you're saying what you're saying, you're willing to say that it doesn't have to do with this requisition, then we can move on, and then we can hear from the town or the city later about what the problems are that we need to address. And based on what Neil's telling me, the city really controls the building and the fire department controls the building. So you'll just have to do your audits and figure it out. But are you still trying to tell us that somehow you think that these problems are related to the construction and therefore we should hold back on making this requisition, approving this requisition? I need to understand that.
That is not what I'm trying to say.
Okay, thank you.
It is very, yeah.
Okay, that's fine. I don't mean to interrupt you, but that's fine. Now, Mayor, based on the fact that that's not what she's trying to say, are you still willing to take your position that we should not pay this requisition, or do you have a different opinion?
That was very good how you asked that. Thank you.
You're
So
welcome.
Carol doesn't think it was because of anything that with the building design? That's what she said?
That's what she said, yes.
Okay.
If I could jump in. So I would kind of, if it's not the building design, then it's occupancy. And so I'm not quite sure I agree with that statement. I will say this. Carol has identified that there's a problem at the firehouse and we need to take care of it. Right? Whatever it is, whether it's operation on our side or whether it's construction, it needs to be taken care of. I do have a question, and that is, how much is the study, and should this committee authorize the study to have somebody come in and take an in-depth look on both parts, the construction and the operations? Because if it's the fire department and it's us, we will make the appropriate changes for that. But we need somebody, some professional to come in and take a look at, well, it's not operation, it's the construction, or it's a mixture of the two, or the engineers just got it wrong with their estimates.
Well, Chief, if you think there's a chance of it being construction, do you have a suggestion on what we should do with this requisition?
I think we have bills that we need to pay. And I think the fair thing to do is to pay the bills for the vendors that have nothing to do with the power. Now, if DA Sullivan is instructed not to pay off, the mechanical companies, well, then that's a different story. If we're not satisfied or we think that there's an issue there, but the other vendors need to be paid. I mean, they've got.
So these vendors have nothing to do with energy. Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying. A lot of the vendors that are going to get paid don't have anything to do with that, and we're not releasing the total retainage. Carol has a lot of courage by coming forward and saying, "Hey, that there's an issue here,
Yep.
and we need to take care of that." And I actually respect that a lot. I do get defensive when there's the idea that maybe it's the fire department management that's causing problems. But with that said, we'll take care of it if that's the, if-
I would ask my kids the same question. Did you leave the windows open and the
Oh,
heat on?
good.
Yeah.
Windows and doors.
So I will tell you that we go around checking it, and there were a few months where we didn't have controls over the lighting, we didn't have controls over the heating. That has been since rectified. The radiant floor wasn't working. It's been since rectified. So I think that the first 3 or 4 months of or a couple months of the winter, I think it's a false projection of where we're going to be. But with that said, I do think that it would be in our best interest to authorize some money to have it looked at. And if it comes back that it's a construction issue, then the city has recourses for that.
Okay, fair enough.
That's what I'm saying.
Fair enough.
So is there, I'm sorry, you know me, I hate doing math out loud, right? Is there a way for us to really clearly approve paying everything that doesn't relate to those systems? Because I agree, I do not want to punish or also tarnish the city's reputation. It becomes difficult for us to do projects when nobody wants to do business in Greenfield, right? So for many reasons, I want to pay everybody who's unrelated to this and not lose any leverage that we may have to resolve this as quickly as possible. And I don't know what that means, if that means changing anything about what we're approving.
Well, I made the motion. I know the mayor made an amending motion, but in the beginning, there was a motion to approve the budget at which we understand includes the total of the requisitions that we actually just authorized. So I don't know whether the issue is we're going back to the actual authorization vote, which already happened, and the mayor wants to reconsider that vote, but I don't think you can reconsider. Yes, you can reconsider if you're on the winning side. Mayor, do you still want to make a motion to reconsider the requisition vote?
Yes, I think we should reduce the amount.
Okay, so that's a motion to reconsider. Let's just say we take that vote ahead of the budget vote because that has some merit to it. It's really tied into it. So does anyone want to, I'm sorry, Butch, I'm just going to take over.
Sure, go ahead.
Expediency.
Doing a great job, David.
Anybody want to second the mayor's motion?
It's a motion to reconsider the budget approval,
The requisition approval,
requisition approval, sorry.
which is behind the vote. So I figure if we change the requisition vote, then we have to change the budget votes. We might as well change, if the mayor wants to change the requisition vote, let's do that first. So anybody want to second the mayor's motion to reconsider?
I will second the motion so we can have discussion on it.
Okay. Again, Butch, is it okay if I continue being the
Sure, go
chairing
ahead.
this
Yep.
this dialogue? Okay, Mayor, make your pitch.
I would, I don't have the numbers in front of me. I would make a motion that,
Well,
we
you made the
reduce
motion, it's been
payment.
seconded. So why do you think we should vote yes on your motion?
I think you should vote yes on the motion so that we have some leverage and with a concern that it might have to do with the building design. I don't know that. This is my first building committee. And so I have a concern with signing off on that significant amount when we still have a concern. I certainly could be wrong, but we have been talking about it and we were worried about it.
Okay.
I'd like to ask a clarifying question if I could, Mayor.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned in your statement that you had concern about the building design. Those were your words, not mine.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want, these bills that are being contemplated today are for the contractors. They're not for the designer. So I just want to make sure that we're saying the right thing. That's all.
May I continue, David?
Of course.
So I didn't write this out, and I'm probably not using the right word for that, and that point is well taken, Neil. What I am concerned about, and and I'm just trying to protect the city here. And someone else can help me with the verbiage, who's better with verbiage than I am. I am concerned that we would be paying off a significant amount when we have a significant concern. Where that comes from, Neil, I'm not exactly sure. So if I said an inappropriate language there, I'm just trying to protect us. And I was trying to hold on to a little bit more.
Okay. Anybody else have anything to say?
David, I think
Yes, Jim.
that we should pay the small amount to the vendors and then make a significant effort to get a immediate energy audit in there through either whatever Western Mass Electric is or whoever the energy auditors are, and see what we're doing right and what we're doing wrong with the building. And let them make recommendations. That's it.
Okay. Anybody else?
If you'll allow
Carol?
me, I would like to clarify, because there have been a lot of things said that are not what I would have said. And I'm not saying that there's an issue with the building design or the how it's being operated. What I am saying, and if you saw the list of what goes in to make this a building like this, it's highly energy efficient. It's, you know, a modern building. There are a lot of parts, moving parts. So it is, it's no fault. It's just things happen sometimes. That's why you have commissioning, to make sure that everything is working correctly. I mean, I can tell you, you know, having worked in the field, you know, a fan gets it gets installed backwards, and all of a sudden the energy skyrockets. It's not someone intentionally doing something wrong, or there's something inherently wrong with the building. It's just, again, there's a lot going on. And so that's all I'm saying, is that it helps us, again, for the city, to make sure that we're not really signing off on this until, you know, we have those answers, and we're willing to work with everyone, which is why I reached out. I'm not trying to slight anyone at all. I'm very uncomfortable doing this. I appreciate the chief saying that I'm brave and stupid, I guess. And this is not fun, and I'm not trying to cause problems, but I just, again, wanted to raise it. So
You
that's
brought
all.
up a valid point.
All right. Anybody else?
Butch, may I?
Dennis wants to speak, and then I'd like to speak.
Please.
So one of the things, Carol, I would like to know, and I think probably a more prudent pathway, at least to get started, is in the original energy modeling. All right. There are so many pieces of equipment and infrastructure that they use on a regular basis. I'm just going to throw a couple out there. The fume exhaust system, the HEPA filters for the PPE room, and, you know, compressors and many other parts, pieces. You know, were they actually included in the audit? And if they were, then maybe there is something wrong. And if they were not, then the audit, you know, was a little short. So, you know, from my point of view, the first thing I'd want to look at is, you know, both Eversource and CES, see what they did or did not include. You know, again, making sure, like the chief said, it was for 24/7, which I'm sure it was. But look, and did they really include all the equipment? Did they include the outbuilding? You know, and make that comparison first, so that we have a level playing field. What are we really looking for? That would be my suggestion.
Dennis, do you think, in light of what you just said, that we should hold back money or pay the bills?
Since I don't see all the, you know, retainage where it's going, you know, I would ask Neil if most of it's for other small contractors, masons, roofers, other people doing other things other than, you know, equipment and HVAC and electrical, then yes, I think those people need to get paid.
So
you know,
I just did a quick scan of the requisition. There is, of the 498,000 that's requested, that is comprised of retainage from all disciplines of work, including some partial electrical and mechanical distributions. the $65,000 in remaining cost inside of the construction contract is the lion's share, the vast majority is within the mechanical HVAC trade.
Well, isn't that the energy?
Certainly some of it.
Mm.
Anybody else have anything to say?
Yeah, if
Jen,
I
I
could,
think Jen, I'm sorry, Chief. Jen was next. Go ahead, Jen.
Yeah, I mean, so Neil, if I follow you, which I probably don't. There's a piece that we can unpack from this. And I mean, again, I'm not gonna sign off on not paying all the other contractors. But I'd like to know if there's an option to pull out a piece of it that gives us some leverage at this point.
Okay. Anybody else?
I would just ask Neil, would we really be able to control that? I mean, the money's going to the contractor who's paying the subs, and they can pay, I'm assuming out of the money that we approve, whoever they want.
No, we would, if we are going to make a reduction, we would have to identify the reason, the amount of the reduction, the reason for the reduction, in which trades would be affected. And then DA Sullivan would be required by law to pay the balance to any of the other subs involved.
Well, that makes it easier.
Anybody else?
yeah, if I can.
Of course. I want to
I-
speak to though. Thank you.
I still think the audit is necessary. You know, I'm thinking about simple things like, did they calculate how many times the garage door is open on a daily basis? And did they get that right? So I really would like to see the audit and go forward. Again, my belief is we have bills to pay and that we should pay them. I think the retainage that we're keeping, or if we want to address it on the mechanical and electrical side, I'm all board with that. But the rest of the contractors, I think, have been, they haven't been paid, and I think they need to get paid. One of the questions that I do have for Neil is, if we decide to withhold retainage or whatever based on something that the commission agent has commissioned everything and says everything's working good, but now we have this dispute, what kind of legal ramifications does that hold the city if we don't pay the bills?
Depends on what the results of the audit are, Butch, Chief. If we go through the due diligence and we determine that there's something that's not operating correctly and it's through contractor error, then there would be no ramification to the city. If we go through and everything is operating as it is specified to, I would say the city's exposure would be interest on the overdue payment.
Yeah. Plus, anybody? I'd like to say something, but I'd like to give everybody else a chance to speak. Everybody's done. So I want to be neutral about what I'm saying, but I feel like I don't think this is a fair process for the board. We've been presented, you know, if there was an energy problem, I don't know why that wasn't addressed earlier and an investigation occurred earlier to figure it out. I don't feel comfortable holding back monies at this point. We have no evidence that any of these contractors made any mistakes. Maybe they did, but we don't have any evidence of it. I think we're acting close to bad faith if we don't pay them. I understand, Mayor, what you're trying to do, and I think it's noble. But I think if you're going to do something like this where you're going to hold back money, you got to have evidence, and then you hold back money because you found something that that was specific. You know, Carol, thank you. Mayor, thank you. Chief, thank you. But I think this motion should fail and I'm voting against it. And then I want this requisition to go out as we planned it. If an audit needs to happen and we need to vote on it, then let's do it. And if we find that there was some problem, then we're close enough to all the contractors that I'm sure that they'll come back. I trust Neil's on board and we'll get it done properly. But it sounds to me like it's not a mechanical problem and we have no evidence of it. Instead, we have evidence that there might be other methods by which we can save energy, and we're going to try to figure those things out. So that's my pitch. So I'd like to take a roll call. Butch, if you could help me with a roll call vote on this, please.
Sure. Okay, so the mayor's
motion is-
motion,
I'm gonna
motion is
withdraw
like
my
to-
motion, David. I'm gonna withdraw my motion. If the chief will withdraw his second. I think what you said was very valid. This is difficult. I wasn't sure what to do. I appreciate everybody's input and I have some concerns, but I'm gonna withdraw it if the chief withdraws his second.
Thank you, Mayor.
I do just want to say that I feel, because, we all spent a lot of time and I think take very seriously the energy modeling that was done. And I don't know that we, all kept up with everything, but we were real clear that we were willing to even spend a little more to have it run at a lower cost over time. So I do feel that this committee has responsibility for the life of the building. And I believe that those operating costs, so I don't, we can't sign off on it just because the thing's built. Right. So I just think, and I think that's the question is like, what can we do? How can we support, an audit happening quickly? Whatever we can do as a committee, I think we are obliged to, because that really was part of our decision-making process, was to make trade-offs between, cost and operational efficiencies. So that doesn't tell us about what to do today. I just want to say, like, I think we still own this. So
okay.
insofar as that's helpful.
It is helpful, but do you think we should hold back or we should?
No, I really
Okay,
feel like.
the requisition stands, everybody agrees that the requisition stands as a complete payment on the bills presented.
Yes.
Okay, so now we're back to the motion to approve the budget with the, including the full requisitioned items. There's been a second. I don't remember who seconded it. Anybody have any comments about that motion?
Yes,
Carol.
Carol.
All I want to say is that I didn't see what was being proposed to pay today. It wasn't until December that it became clear, because there were issues with the Eversource account, that there was an issue. And as soon as I was able to digest that and quantify it and verify the consumption, I contacted the chief and the mayor and then in February, reached out to the project team to get this on the radar. This was the first meeting we've had since then. I have tried to, this is not what I intended, is in short. And I just want to explain why it's kind of a surprise being brought up now. I also don't think anyone should not be paid. And I didn't know that some of these people were waiting since last year. I don't know why that's the case, but regardless, that's extremely not what I'm saying. But I do appreciate the support that we do need to get to the bottom of this for the city. And that's, I will do that, but we need the help of, and we have the commitment of Neil and Dennis and the team. And so we'll continue to work on that. But I just wanted to make that clear. It wasn't like I was sitting on this for a really long time and I was like, oh, let's have some fun. I really, would love to talk about this way. That's not it at all. And again, thank you.
You're doing your job. You did a good job.
Thank you, Carol.
Okay, so,
It just made things a little more confusing.
great.
Yes,
Or-
Jim. Oh, Butch, you have the list. Can you take, I'll relinquish the chair and you can take
Yeah.
the vote on the budget and continue the meeting. Thank you. Thanks for
Okay.
giving me my opportunity.
Sure. Thanks for the help. So we're voting on the invoices as presented to update the budget. So all those in favor, I vote yes. David?
Yes.
Chief?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Oh, thank you. Jim?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Okay, next item. Okay, I
Butch,
think we've been talking about.
Butch,
Um,
I hate to ask, but is it the desire of the committee to engage Thornton Tomasetti to do the audit and look into, or not? I want to make sure if we're going to do that, I think it's at the committee's discretion. I don't have the cost in front of me. I would ask if Carol has that available. I know it's a 50% cost share with Eversource, but 50% of what?
Can I jump in here for a second? I am being summoned into a Ways and Means Committee meeting, so I'm going to have to jump offline. Before I go, I had two comments. The first comment is, thank you, Carol, for bringing this forward. I can hear her concern in her voice. And I don't believe that any of this is a reflection on Carol. I appreciate what she's done in trying to keep us on track for the city and our energy. Second of all, I would absolutely recommend we do some type of an analysis through that company. And I would vote in the affirmative to that. But I apologize. I got to go to the other meeting.
Good luck.
Thank you.
good luck.
Bye.
Neil, do we need the committee to vote on this, or is this something that can be handled,
It can
you
be
know, with the
handled at the,
professionals
it
because
can
there
be
is an
handled
issue?
by an executive committee, Butch, if that's the desire of the committee.
We could
I
all,
mean,
but
clearly we want to have it done.
we
Yeah,
could
I
also
mean-
vote. We could also vote now to do it, right, Neil? I mean,
Sure,
We
Yeah.
just don't have a number, David.
right.
I don't believe.
okay, gotcha. All right.
What I have in front of me says the incentive is available for 50% of a cost share up to $10,000. So I believe that means a total of a $20,000 project cost. And I believe that's what roughly the energy model was. So if we could say not to exceed 20,000, I think that should cover it. I don't have we have to sign on that we want to pursue this before we get a quote. Or I can pursue that.
Well,
All right. So let's wait. Let it.
Yeah.
Can we keep going?
Sure.
Let's get the information, Carol.
right.
Sure.
Thank you.
So the next thing on the list was to ask Neil and Dennis, you know, how do we as a committee kind of close this out eventually here? We're a ways away, but what's been the process of other building committees to kind of finish up it? I mean, there's not much money left. I don't know if we can, if it comes in piecemeals, the costs that come to us and it's under 25,000, our policy has been to, you know, approve those costs with a small group.
So there's some punch list items. I don't have anything that's utterly substantial here. You know, Kate gave me a list. What I'd like to do is, rather than go through all these little items, and there's only about 10 of them, I can forward it to Neil and Butch you can take a look and just forward it to the committee. There's earth shattering things like, you know, overhead door as-built information, you know, finishing up the commissioning, which we all know about, some storm drainage, things like that. I can read them off if you want, or I can just forward it to you, Butch, and you can forward it to the committee. It's up to you.
Sure. That works.
Is it a
I don't
long?
think
Is it a
there's
long
much
list,
left.
Dennis?
No, it is not, David. It's
So can you? I would like you to read it, please.
so we're talking about finishing the commissioning, which we've talked about. Overhead door needs some as-built information for the Eversource incentive. For the site, we have the storm drainage was rejected. We need to know that that was addressed. Outbuilding items need to be completed for substantial completion, and security systems, communications. We just need. Gene,
and rightfully so. We take a firefighter off the engine company. I'm shorting that engine company.
How do I- Close him out of there.
All right,
It's not that simple, but yes, you are correct, by saying.
Let me see
that,
if
but
I
it's
can-
not that simple.
Can you mute him?
Mute that
I'm
guy.
looking,
Mute the
I'm
mayor.
looking for him.
They're already getting paid, they're on the
Where
job,
is he?
they're getting paid.
Yeah.
That to me, that, and in the big
The heck
scheme of
is he?
things,
Any-
$50 a pop ain't a big deal, but when you get 1,600 plus calls a
I don't
year,
know what he's on.
I just don't get it.
Doesn't show
He's
up here on my
he's on
list.
the mayor's, he's on the mayor's, coming in through the mayor's computer.
So.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
It is not 16.
Thank you.
There, I just muted the mayor. I'll unmute her when,
We lost the chief. Nice job.
yeah.
okay, and then, the last things were review, owner, operating manuals. Making sure we've got them all. Look at Peter McIver's latest list for, anything outstanding on the outbuilding. For H2M, we certainly anticipate less than $5,000 remaining for meetings, punch list, whatever it might be. Finished items. Warranty work, which Neil had already mentioned, for the 1-year warranty visit. So we'll have that. I'm sure Neil will be there. And Neil, you said that's coming up, what, this May?
I think occupancy was mid-May, so I think we should plan for mid-April.
Okay, makes sense. So, and that's what's on the list, and Butch, I'll forward it to you anyway, just so you have it.
Okay, I'll send it out.
Thank you. That was mine.
Any other questions on that for Dennis?
No, thanks, Dennis.
Thank you, Dennis.
You're welcome.
Okay. Public comment. Not gonna have any.
So
Next meeting, so why don't we
Brooks,
plan
do
to
you-
have a
you
next
want to
meeting to
addre-
do?
I'm assuming you don't want to address the work of this committee and delegating it to the subcommittee?
Well, that's what I thought I was doing before when I was asking you folks, you know, what's left and do you think it's small enough in the dollar amount that the subcommittee can deal with that piece of it? But in addition to that, I
think
would
you have
like
to
to have
go back.
another full meeting maybe next month to address
work.
where we are with the energy issue.
Yeah.
This full meeting is the only meeting that really is fully transparent to the public.
Right.
So I recognize, I respect, you know, trying to respect people's time, but I also think that, you know, it's really important to have this forum and to have these meetings that are publicly posted and recorded and all those things, and, you know, so minutes. So I think we agreed long ago that there was things under a certain dollar amount that would go to executive committee, and I think that's fine. But I think we have to keep, as we wrap up these details, especially with some of these important and potentially expensive ongoing questions, like we've got to keep meeting.
I
Do you think a
concur.
month from now, Neil, would be enough time for, you know, you guys to get the audit information on the energy piece?
I'm assuming, Butch, that with the quoted, you know, if we're talking about an expenditure of less than $20,000, that the execution of the agreement with Thornton Tomasetti would be within the purview of the subcommittee. And if that's the case, we could execute it in the absence of another full committee meeting. I honestly have no idea whether we could wrap it all up in a month and meet again in April. We could certainly plan for an April meeting to update the committee on progress, as well as any noted issues during the warranty walkthrough.
Okay.
So if you
So why
want to
don't we
plan
pick
for an April meeting, I would plan later in the month.
Yeah, I would say, why don't we plan for the end of April? And if everything is not in by then, you know, we can cancel and extend.
Yep.
But at least we'll have
April
a date
29th, last
in
Tuesday.
mind. Last Tuesday?
Yeah,
What's the
April
date?
29th.
April 29th?
Yep.
That sound, everybody?
That sounds fine. Thank you.
That works.
Okay. April 29th, a Tuesday.
A Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Day
Okay.
of the week, there's nothing going on.
Right. Okay. All right, so that's the last item. Is there a motion? to
I'll make a
adjourn?
motion, we be adjourned.
Second,
Second. Okay, I vote yes. David,
yes. Thank you. Thanks, Butch, for everything.
thank you. Mayor?
Mira's gone.
Yeah. Carol,
Yes.
Jen,
Yes.
and Jim. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thanks,
Thank
See
Butch.
you next month.
Bye-bye.